war movies were never really my thing. I much prefer a good action sci-fi movie or even a cheesy romantic comedy that I could watch over and over and over. But this movie, whoever you are, whether you like or don't like this type of movie, even though you might want to watch Despicable Me 3 instead, please make the time to watch this movie. I promise you, you won't be disappointed. Good morning, afternoon, evening everyone. Hi, my name is Myra and welcome back to my channel. As usual, I will remind you to click that bell button besides my subscribe button if you haven't, so you will be notified if I upload something new. Now, the only reason that I want to watch this movie is because of the rave reviews and nothing else. I already told you that I don't really like war movies, mostly because I avoid gore and stressful gunfight scenes that will happen quite often, I imagine. But I still get up from my bed, walk to the mall, and purchase this ticket for this bad boy. And golly gee, I definitely wasn't disappointed. I'll try to let you know my thoughts without being in awe too much. The movie talks about the British and French soldiers that got stuck in Dunkirk, a seaside town in France, because of an evacuation. The setting is in World War II, where the British and French soldier has to fight Nazi German, and since the British and French were losing, they had to evacuate towards Dunkirk, where they waited for boats that will take them back to their hometown. And that's just about it. The movie revolves around that storyline, with enemy bombing them left and right because they're basically sitting ducks, and the British air patrol thing trying to disarm the bombers, and of course there's civilians involved. But you might never guess on how they were involved. To know more, you should just watch the movie. Now I will ask you to stop and do not watch further if you haven't watched the movie. Those are my initial preview, and if you want to know my thoughts, of course you would have to see the movie first, since it is impossible for me to talk about the movie without any spoilers. It is so good, by the way. So if you haven't seen the movie, stop. Safely assume that you've watched the movie. Let's dive into this beautiful presentation we call Dunkirk. My first reaction was simple. It's about soldiers trying to evacuate a war zone, and my thoughts? This will be pretty boring. So I didn't expect much, and the first scene insinuate that. The soldiers were walking and trying their best to survive, salvage any item that they could find, even trying to pee in the same environment. Damn, war is crazy though. Props to every soldier and everyone involved who has been through war. Anyway, it quickly moves to how the soldiers found out various ways to escape Dunkirk. And boy, they did it multiple times. But they got bombed or shot at or basically prevented from escaping Dunkirk by any means necessary, which was the crown jewel of the movie for me. We get to see how much these soldiers wanted to leave, but they got disappointed multiple times as well. I can almost feel the stress oozing from the screen. I mean, no proper sleep or food or clothes for days, probably weeks, and now all they wanted to do is to go home, but they can't do that as well. It's heartbreaking. Not only that movie makers are able to convey the emotions through the movie, how the movie was told is also brilliant. There are a lot of moving parts. In this case, there are the ground soldiers, and there are also the British Air Marshal Force thing, led by Tom Hardy. Then there's the civilians whose boats are being used to rescue the soldiers. All of those are important, and even though there's a red line connecting all of them, there are different stories with different main characters involved. So it's interesting to see how the war really is from different point of view. And how the story was laid out is also different from any war movies or even any movies that I've watched. The timeline went back and forth a few times. I didn't realize it until I saw a few characters that I've seen on a different scene, but it was actually from a different timeline. I love how the movie itself is a puzzle. It kept the viewers on their toes and on them every time the scene changed. Sometimes doing something like this can be confusing, but in Dunkirk, it's actually interesting. But even though the movie itself is emotional, I didn't find any emotional connection with any of the particular characters. Usually I could see which characters are the most dominant or the most intriguing to talk about. But in here, I think every character is a part of something bigger and nothing more. Yes, there is a main character that could take this story from beginning to end, but I don't find any emotional connection that can make this movie his. He is just a tool to tell the story instead of an individual character where usually the story revolves. So that's why I won't talk about any character that I like for this movie review, since there isn't any. In my opinion, the real star of this movie is the director, which makes this the first time I ever say that. I definitely enjoyed the movie because of the story and how it was put out, how I can feel the emotion without being too attached to character, and how I can understand the story through the back and forth scenes. The characters are all different and play small parts to a bigger picture, something that I absolutely love. Christopher Nolan, you are a genius, and please make more movies like this one. Please. Please. So, the question remains, should you watch this movie? Yes, of course. I recommend it 1000%, even though that was an impossible number. And even though this is not something that you can fangirl at, it teaches a lesson and it has a unique take on war. Please spare your time to watch it. You will leave the cinema with a revelation or even perhaps inspiration. So, that is all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching. Again, sorry for being late. This movie is not available anymore in my country, but I just finished the review. I'm sorry. But I hope you liked the review, and if you do, don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. You know, follow me on Facebook and Instagram. I have a fan page and I have my Instagram, so follow them both if you want to. And thank you again so much for watching. I will see you next time. Bye!